Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I want to do another experiment. We always have the problem that of course you need a lot of paint, but you also need a lot of pouring medium or something that can be used as pouring medium. For example, normal school glue is relatively inexpensive, but if you go to PVAC like bookbinders glue, it's also not that cheap anymore. And if you go to Floetrol, yeah, it's middle range. So then you also need to varnish. So what if I use varnish as a pouring medium? Because yeah, it's also not cheap, but perhaps you can get it cheap, or you're just renovating your house and you have a big pot of it still in some kind of corner. Of course, it's a water-based transparent varnish. What I normally would expect to happen is to crack, because you see already when you varnish a painting and you have it too thick, it cracks. But almost every varnish is advised to be thinned down by 10%. You can read that on the back mostly, or at least it can be done. So I'm gonna use a varnish and water, and the water is gonna slow down the drying time, so let's see if it doesn't crack then. I'm only gonna try 3 colors, yellow, blue, white, on a little wooden MDF star, because yeah, I don't know what's gonna come out of it. So I'm gonna put paint, a little bit of varnish and a little bit of water. For pouring medium, I always advise 30% to paint, because more you really don't need. It's to keep the pigment connection together. See the knowledge base videos on that. So I'm gonna do something similar here, or perhaps half, and then add some water. Okay, so I'm gonna take you along for the white, just a little bit of mixing. I'm also very doubtful about the use of silicone and varnish. That's normally something we try to really avoid because of the pits it gives. So I'm gonna see if I can split the paint up and do one without and one with silicone. Then I eventually need to choose something even smaller than this. But let's just start with adding some varnish. So stir it up a little bit. A big spoon, which is eventually half. Same here. And wouldn't that be cool if you don't have to varnish? Could be a good side effect. Okay, this cup is gonna be too small. Okay, so from stirring it in, it's odd. It's not immediately mixing like pouring medium, but I can get it in there. Okay, let's add some water. So it's not a big problem to mix it in like you normally would. It's not behaving very different. So I guess I'm gonna do that with all colors, with all the paint, and then I'm gonna be back. Okay, so I found 2 smaller stars and I prepared the paint. Again, something that you need to know, you need to ventilate properly because it's varnish. I don't want to forget to mention that. One of the paint has silicone now and the other not. I had the idea that I kept adding water, so I think it thickens up relatively quick, but let's give it a go. So this one is the one with silicone and this the one without. It's already thickened again. don't see any cell forming in the cup. So there are not really any cells right now, like I would expect with a normal flip cup. I'm gonna torch it because why not? Not sure it's a good idea though. Normally I should have torched before I tilted, because when all this little stuff would have gotten bigger, even if I'm not sure if this is from the silicone or if it's air bubbles, but it looks really cute. So yeah, torch before you tilt, also something I always say. Now let's do the one without silicone. This is of course more important for the part where I want to see if it cracks or how it dries. So same thing here. So there is no silicone in here, but what I normally would do is torch right now. And what you see now are air bubbles popping, and even that will expand now to cell looking formations when I spread it. It's difficult to cover this one, of course. You see now even the air bubbles, because there is no silicone, expand to cells. That's not only with varnish but with everything. So torch before you tilt. Not sure that I can get it over everything. So what you see now can't be silicone, right? It can't be from silicone. It's an air bubble that went big. So imagine if you do that with cells. That's how people get these monster big cells. And what you see here now is again some air bubbles. I never like that when air bubbles pop so much, but yeah, I just want to show you. Okay, so that's the different results. I think the silicone does indeed work pretty good in this. And now it's going to be the big question about how it's going to dry. Hi everyone and welcome back. So it's a day later. It's already dry. Eventually, because it's so thin, can't tell if the varnish had anything to do with it. The colors stayed like they are. The structure of the cells stayed exactly the same as they were. The colors really pop, but I wouldn't say that it has a real varnish shine. So that's not the case, but it turned out really nice. You can see this one was the one with the silicone. The colors are really popping and everything. Cells are well done. This was the one with no silicone. The big cells most likely come from air bubbles because I torched before I tilted. So both turned out very nice. So yes, you can use varnish as a pouring medium if you have it at home or anything can get it cheap or something like that. But one thing again to mention, you need really proper ventilation. These still smell a little like varnish, also my table, because all the rest paint is still on there. So that's really something to consider. But if you have it, works perfectly fine. and also with the silicone. Yeah, of course, as always, never use too much. Always have the right consistency, otherwise you won't get cells anyway, but it looks really, really beautiful. Okay, I hope you liked this. Come back, subscribe, click the bell, and I hope to see you back soon.